The moment I knew something was very wrong was when I saw my sister sitting too close to my husband on our couch. Her hand was on his arm. She was laughing in a soft voice. And my husband, Mark, he was not moving away. I stood in the doorway and felt my heart drop into my stomach. My sister Lily looked at me, but she did not move her hand. She just smiled. "Emma, you're home early," she said. Like nothing was wrong, like she was not touching my husband, like I was the strange one for noticing. At that moment, a cold feeling moved through my body. But I told myself I was overthinking. I wish I had listened to that feeling, because that was the first moment my life started to break. My name is Emma. I am 32 years old. For most of my life, my family believed one thing. Lily was the special one, and I was the quiet one. Lily is my younger sister. She is 2 years younger than me, but people always treated her like she was the center of the world. She was beautiful, long blonde hair, bright smile. People always said, "Lily is so charming." At family dinners, everyone looked at her. Everyone listened to her stories. And me? I was the one helping my mother in the kitchen. I was the one cleaning the table. I was the one who stayed quiet. My parents did not hate me, but they loved Lily more. That truth followed me my whole life. When we were children, Lily always got what she wanted. "If we both wanted the same toy," she cried, my parents gave it to her. If she forgot to do homework, my parents helped her. If I forgot homework, my father said, "Emma, you must be more responsible." I learned early that life was not fair, so I worked hard. I studied hard. I got a good job at a small design company. I moved to a small apartment in the city. And slowly, I started building my own life. For the first time, I felt proud of myself. Then I met Mark. I met Mark at a friend's birthday party. He was calm, kind. He had warm brown eyes and a gentle voice. When he spoke to me, he listened carefully. Not like most people. He asked me questions about my work, about my ideas, about my dreams. No one had ever asked me those things before. After that night, he called me. Then we went on a date, then another and another. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone truly saw me. Not my sister, not my family, me. One night, we sat in a small restaurant by the river. Mark held my hand across the table. "Emma," he said softly, "you are the strongest woman I know." I laughed a little. "No," I said. "You don't know my sister. She is the strong one." Mark shook his head. "No," he said. "Your sister is loud, but you are strong." That moment stayed in my heart, because no one had ever said something like that to me before. 2 years later, we got married. It was a small wedding. Just family and close friends. I remember wearing a simple white dress. I remember my hands shaking. But when I looked at Mark, I felt calm. Like I had finally found my safe place. Lily was my maid of honor. She wore a soft pink dress. And of course, everyone was talking about how beautiful she looked, even at my wedding. But I tried not to think about that. Because I was happy, I had my husband, I had my own life. I believed things would finally be peaceful. I was wrong. A few months after the wedding, Lily started visiting us more often. At first, it felt normal. She would come for dinner. She would bring wine. She would laugh and tell stories. Mark was always polite. He treated her kindly. But sometimes, something felt strange. One evening, Lily came to our apartment, wearing a very short red dress. She walked into the living room like it was a fashion show. Mark looked surprised. Lily laughed. "What?" she said. "Do I look bad?" Mark shook his head quickly. No, you look nice." Lily smiled in a way I did not like. Then she looked at me. "Emma," she said, "you're lucky. Your husband is very sweet." Something in her voice felt wrong. But again, I ignored the feeling. Soon, Lily started coming more often. Sometimes she came without telling me first. Sometimes she stayed very late. She sat very close to Mark when we watched movies. Too close. Sometimes their shoulders touched. One night, I noticed Lily laughing at something Mark said. She touched his arm. Just for a moment. But that moment stayed in my mind. Later that night, I asked Mark quietly, "Do you think Lily comes here too much?" Mark looked confused. "She's your sister," he said. "Isn't that normal?" Maybe he was right. Maybe I was just insecure. After all, Lily always loved attention. That was nothing new. But slowly, the small moments started adding up, and a quiet fear began to grow inside me. Then something happened that changed everything. One afternoon, Lily came to our apartment while I was still at work. I did not know she was there. When I opened the door, I heard laughter in the living room, Lily's voice, and Mark's. I walked inside, and that's when I saw them, sitting together on the couch, too close, her hand resting gently on his arm, like it belonged there. They both looked at me. Mark quickly moved away. But Lily did not move. She just smiled. "Emma," she said softly, "you're home early." And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I felt something dark growing inside my chest, because suddenly a terrible thought entered my mind. What if my sister did not just want attention? What if my sister wanted my husband? After that day, I could not stop thinking about what I saw. Lily's hand on Mark's arm. The way she smiled when I walked in. It was not the smile of someone who felt embarrassed. It was calm, almost confident. That feeling stayed inside my chest like a small stone. Heavy, cold. That night, after Lily left, I tried to talk to Mark. We were washing dishes in this kitchen. The apartment was quiet. I took a deep breath. "Mark," I said slowly, "do you think Lily behaves a little strange sometimes?" He looked at me. "What do you mean?" I dried my hands with a towel. "She sits very close to you," I said. "Sometimes she touches you." Mark looked surprised. Then he laughed a little. "Emma," he said gently, "she's your sister." "I know," I replied. "But still, it feels uncomfortable." Mark walked closer to me and touched my shoulder. "You worry too much," he said. "She probably just feels comfortable with us." I nodded, but deep inside, I was not convinced. In the next few weeks, Lily came to our apartment even more often. Sometimes she brought food, sometimes wine, sometimes nothing. She always had a reason. Emma, I was bored. Emma, I was near your building. Emma, I missed you. But strangely, when she talked, she often looked at Mark. Not me. One night we were watching a movie. I sat on one side of the couch. Mark sat in the middle. Lily sat on the other side. At first, everything felt normal. But slowly, Lily moved closer. Her shoulder touched Mark's. Then her head leaned slightly toward him. I noticed Mark moving a little away. But Lily moved closer again. I felt my stomach twist. I tried to focus on this movie. But my mind was not on the screen. Later that night, when Lily went to the bathroom, I whispered to Mark, "Do you see what she's doing?" Mark looked confused. "What?" "She keeps touching you." Mark sighed softly. "Emma, please don't start this again." "I'm not starting anything," I said quietly. "I'm just asking you to notice." Mark looked uncomfortable. Then he said something that hurt me more than I expected. "Maybe you're just jealous." The word hit me like a slap. "Jealous?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "You and Lily were always compared growing up, right?" My throat felt tight. "So now you think I'm jealous of my own sister?" Mark quickly shook his head. No, that's not what I mean." But the damage was already done. For the first time, I felt alone in my own marriage. After that conversation, I stopped talking about Lily. I tried to ignore the small things, but they kept happening. Lily started texting Mark. At first, it seemed normal. She would send funny pictures or ask simple questions. But sometimes I saw messages like, "Emma works so hard. You must get lonely sometimes." Or, "You're such a good husband. Emma is lucky." The messages made my skin crawl. But Mark always answered politely. Never flirty, never strange. Still, something about it felt wrong. One afternoon, Lily asked if she could stay at our apartment for a few days. Her roommate was traveling, she said, and she felt lonely. I hesitated, but she was my sister. So I said yes. That decision changed everything. The first night was normal. We ate dinner together. We talked. We laughed. But the second night, something strange happened. I came home from work earlier than usual. The apartment was quiet. I thought no one was home. Then I heard voices in the kitchen. Lily's voice and Mark's. I walked slowly toward the kitchen. They were standing very close to each other. Lily was laughing. Her hand rested lightly on Mark's chest. Not his arm, his chest. My heart started beating fast. "Hey," I said suddenly. They both turned. Lily quickly moved her hand away. "Emma," she said brightly, "you're home." Mark looked uncomfortable. "Hey," he said quietly. I forced a small smile. "What are you two talking about?" Lily answered quickly. "Oh, nothing. Just a joke." But her cheeks were slightly red, and Mark avoided my eyes. That night, I could not sleep. My mind was full of questions. Was I imagining things? Or was something really happening? I wanted to trust my husband, but my instincts were screaming. Something was wrong, very wrong. The next evening, the worst moment happened. I was supposed to work late that night, but my meeting was canceled, so I went home early. When I opened the apartment door, the lights were dim. I heard music playing softly in the living room. I walked inside quietly, and then I froze. Lily was standing very close to Mark. Too close. Her hands were on his shoulders. Mark looked tense. "Lily," he said quietly, "this is not a good idea." But Lily did not move away. Instead, she spoke in a soft voice. "Why not?" My heart started pounding. I stood behind the wall, unable to move. Lily stepped even closer to him. "Mark," she said slowly, "you know Emma doesn't understand you like I do." My chest felt like it was breaking. Mark shook his head. "Stop, Lily." But she kept talking. "You deserve someone exciting," she whispered. "Not someone boring like my sister." My hands started shaking. Tears filled my eyes. I could not believe what I was hearing. My own sister, talking about me like that, trying to steal my husband. Then Lily did something that made my whole world collapse. She leaned forward and kissed him, not on the cheek, on the lips. For a moment, Mark stood completely still. I felt my heart stop. Then Mark suddenly pulled away. "Lily, no!" he said loudly. But it was already too late, because at that exact moment, I stepped into the living room, and they both saw me standing there, watching everything. The room became completely silent. Lily looked shocked for half a second. Then something unbelievable happened. She turned to Mark and grabbed his arm. "Mark," she said quickly, "tell her the truth." My stomach dropped. "What truth?" I asked weakly. Lily looked straight at me, and with a calm voice she said words that destroyed my heart. "Emma, Mark and I have feelings for each other." My ears started ringing. "What?" I whispered. Lily squeezed Mark's arm. "Tell her," she insisted. Mark looked frozen, confused. But Lily kept talking. "We didn't want to hurt you," she said, "but we can't hide it anymore." Tears ran down my face. I looked at my husband. "Mark, is this true?" For a few seconds, he said nothing, and that silence felt worse than any words, because in that moment, standing in my own living room, I realized my life might be falling apart, and the two people I trusted most were standing together on the other side. For a moment, I could not breathe. The room felt smaller. The air felt heavy. My sister was standing next to my husband, holding his arm, and she just told me they had feelings for each other. I looked at Mark. My heart was beating so fast it hurt. "Mark," I whispered, "is that true?" He looked shocked, confused. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Lily squeezed his arm harder. "Mark," she said softly but firmly, "tell her." I felt my chest tighten. Why wasn't he speaking? Why wasn't he saying something? Anything? Those few seconds felt like hours. My eyes filled with tears. "So it's true?" I asked quietly. My voice sounded small, broken. Mark finally pulled his arm away from Lily. "Emma." "Wait," he said. But Lily spoke again before he could finish. "We didn't plan this," she said. "It just happened." Her voice sounded sad, but her eyes were calm. Too calm. "I didn't want to hurt you," she added. That sentence made something inside me snap. "Didn't want to hurt me?" I said. My voice shook. "You kissed my husband," Lily sighed. "Emma, please don't make this dramatic." Dramatic. The word burned in my ears. "Dramatic," I repeated. My hands started shaking. "I just watched my sister kiss my husband." "How is that dramatic?" Mark stepped forward. "Emma, listen to me," he said. But I took a step back. My heart felt like it was breaking into pieces. "I trusted both of you," I whispered. No one spoke. The silence was painful. Then suddenly, I could not stay there anymore. I grabbed my bag from the chair. "I need air," I said. And I walked out of the apartment. The night air was cold, but I did not feel it. I walked without thinking. My mind was full of chaos. Images kept repeating in my head. Lily's hands on Mark's shoulders. Her kissing him. Her saying they had feelings for each other. And Mark, not defending me, not stopping her words. Tears kept falling down my face. People walked past me on the street, but I didn't notice them. I felt completely alone. After an hour, I finally sat on a bench in a small park. My hands covered my face. I cried harder than I had cried in years. I felt stupid. How did I not see this before? The small touches, the messages, the smiles. Maybe everyone else could see it. Maybe I was the only one who didn't. A painful thought entered my mind. Maybe Lily was right. Maybe I was boring. Maybe Mark really wanted someone like her, someone louder, more exciting. That thought crushed my heart even more. I stayed in the park for a long time. Finally, my phone rang. Mark. I stared at the screen. My hands trembled. For a moment, I almost ignored the call. But then I answered. "Hello?" I said quietly. "Emma." Mark's voice came through the phone. He sounded stressed. "Where are you?" "In the park," I said. "Please come home," he said. "We need to talk." I closed my eyes. "What is there to talk about?" I asked. "Everything," he said. His voice sounded serious. After a long silence, I agreed. "Okay," I whispered. When I returned to the apartment, Lily was gone. Only Mark was there. He stood in the living room, waiting for me. His face looked tired. I stayed near the door. I did not want to get too close. "Emma," he said softly, "I'm sorry you had to see that." I crossed my arms. "So it's true?" I asked again. "You and Lily?" Mark's face immediately changed. "No," he said firmly. "Absolutely not." I frowned. "What?" Mark ran a hand through his hair. "Emma, I swear, I do not have feelings for your sister." I stared at him. "But she said—" "I know what she said," he interrupted. "And it's not true." My heart was confused. "But she kissed you." "Yes," he said. "She kissed me." But I didn't kiss her back. I remembered the moment again. He did pull away, but everything happened so fast. "I told her to stop," he continued. "You heard me say that." I stayed silent. My mind was still full of doubt. Mark looked directly into my eyes. "Emma," he said slowly, "I love you. Only you. Your sister has been acting strange for weeks. I tried to ignore it because she is your family. But tonight, she crossed the line." I felt my emotions twisting inside me. "Then why didn't you say something when she told me that lie?" I asked. Mark sighed deeply. "Because I was shocked," he said. "I couldn't believe what she was saying." I sat down slowly on the couch. My head felt heavy. "Why would she do this?" I asked. Mark hesitated. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "Emma, I think Lily wants your life." I looked up. "What do you mean?" Mark sat across from me. She watches everything we do, he said. She asks questions about our money, our plans, our future. I think she's jealous. The word felt strange. Lily? Jealous of me? I asked. Mark nodded. Yes. That idea had never entered my mind before. Growing up, Lily always had everything: attention, praise, love. Why would she want my life? But then, a memory appeared in my mind, at my wedding, when Lily whispered, "You're lucky, not happy, not excited, just lucky." Another memory followed, her saying, "Your husband is very sweet." The way she looked at him. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces started connecting. My chest felt cold. She tried to destroy my marriage, I whispered. Mark nodded slowly. I think so. I covered my mouth with my hand. My own sister. Why? Why would she do something so cruel? For a moment, sadness filled my chest again. But then something else appeared. A different feeling. Anger, strong, hot, burning inside me. I slowly stood up. Mark looked surprised. Emma? He said. I wiped the tears from my face. For the first time that night, my voice was steady. She lied about you, I said. Yes, he replied. She tried to turn us against each other. Yes. My hands slowly clenched into fists. Then I said something I never thought I would say. Then I'm not going to stay silent anymore. Mark watched me carefully. What are you going to do? He asked. I took a deep breath. For years, I was the quiet sister. The one who stayed calm. The one who accepted everything. But not anymore. This time, I was going to stand up for myself. And Lily was finally going to face the truth. That night, I did not sleep. I sat in the living room while the sky slowly turned from dark to gray. Mark stayed with me. Neither of us said much, but my mind was working the whole night. For years, I stayed quiet when Lily took attention from me. I stayed quiet when my parents praised her more. I stayed quiet when people compared us. But this time was different. This time, she tried to destroy my marriage. And I was not going to let her walk away like nothing happened. Around morning, I finally stood up. Mark looked at me. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm going to talk to Lily, I said. Mark looked worried. Are you sure? Yes, I replied. This ends today. I called my parents. Can we meet tonight? I asked. My mother sounded surprised. Of course. Is everything okay? I looked at Mark. Then I answered quietly. No, but it will be. I asked them to invite Lily too. They agreed. That evening, Mark and I drove to my parents' house. The same house where I grew up. The same house where Lily was always the favorite. My heart beat fast as we walked inside. My parents were sitting in the living room. Lily was already there. She sat comfortably on the sofa, like nothing had happened. When she saw us, she smiled slightly, but the smile quickly disappeared when she saw Mark standing next to me. My mother looked confused. Emma, she said, what is going on? I took a deep breath. Tonight, I was not the quiet daughter anymore. Something serious happened yesterday, I said. My father frowned. What do you mean? I looked directly at Lily. You should tell them, I said. Lily crossed her arms. I don't know what you're talking about. Her voice sounded calm, but I could see tension in her eyes. Then I'll explain, I said. I told them everything, slowly, clearly. How Lily started visiting our apartment often, how she touched Mark, how she sent strange messages, and finally, how she kissed my husband. My mother's face turned pale. My father looked shocked. Lily, my father said, is this true? Lily rolled her eyes. Oh, please, she said. Emma is exaggerating. My stomach tightened. Then Lily said something even worse. She caught feelings between Mark and me, Lily continued. She couldn't handle it. My mother gasped. Emma, is that true? For a moment, I felt that old pain again. The familiar feeling, my parents believing Lily first. But this time, I was ready. I turned to Mark. Tell them, I said calmly. Mark stepped forward. His voice was steady. That is not what happened. Everyone looked at him. Lily kissed me, he said clearly. I told her to stop. The room became silent. Lily laughed nervously. Oh, come on, Mark. But Mark interrupted her. And I have proof. Lily's smile disappeared. What proof? She asked quickly. Mark took out his phone. He opened his messages. Then he handed the phone to my father. These are messages Lily sent me, Mark said. My father slowly read the screen. His face became darker with every message. My mother leaned closer to see. One message said, Emma doesn't deserve someone like you. Another said, you and I understand each other better. And another, if you were with me, life would be more exciting. The room felt heavy with silence. My father looked up slowly. Lily, he said in a deep voice. What is this? Lily's face turned red. She's lying, Lily said quickly. But my father raised the phone. These are your messages. Lily opened her mouth, but no words came out. For the first time in my life, my sister had no answer. My mother looked at Lily with tears in her eyes. Why would you do this? She asked. Lily stood up suddenly. Because she always gets everything, she shouted. Everyone froze. Lily pointed at me. She got the good job. She got the perfect husband. She got the life I wanted. Her voice shook with anger. You were always the boring one, she said to me, but somehow you still ended up happy. The room was silent again. Then I spoke. My voice was calm. Lily, I said, you could have built your own life. But instead, you tried to steal mine. Tears rolled down Lily's cheeks, but her anger was still there. You don't deserve him, she shouted. At that moment, my father stood up. His voice was firm. That's enough. Lily looked at him in shock. You crossed a line, my father said. What you did to your sister is unacceptable. My mother nodded slowly. Lily, you need help, she said softly. For the first time in our lives, my parents were not defending her. They were disappointed in her. Lily looked around the room. Her confidence was gone. Without another word, she grabbed her bag and walked out of the house. The door slammed behind her. The house became very quiet. My mother looked at me with tears. Emma, I'm so sorry, she said. My father sighed deeply. We should have noticed earlier, he said. For years, I waited to hear words like that. But strangely, I did not feel angry anymore. I just felt tired. It's okay, I said quietly. Mark gently took my hand. We'll be okay, he whispered. I squeezed his hand back. Weeks passed. Lily stopped calling, stopped visiting. My parents said she moved to another city. To be honest, I felt sad. But I also felt peaceful. For the first time in my life, I had clear boundaries, and I knew my worth. Mark and I worked on rebuilding trust and calm in our home. One evening, we sat together on the balcony. The sunset painted the sky, orange and pink. Mark looked at me. Are you okay? He asked. I thought for a moment. Then I smiled softly. Yes, I said, because now I finally understand something. What? He asked. I looked at the sky. Being quiet does not mean being weak. And being kind does not mean people can walk over you. Mark nodded. You're stronger than anyone I know, he said. I leaned my head on his shoulder. For years, I lived in my sister's shadow, but not anymore. Because sometimes the quiet person is not the weak one. Sometimes the quiet person is just waiting for the right moment to stand up. And when that moment comes, everything changes.